All around the world, significant parts of our cultural heritage are by pollution, neglect, carelessness and greed. In learning the importance of our history, we come to understand the need to protect significant remains from the past so that future generations can come to understand their heritage. For a long time now, it's been a widely accepted and rarely questioned belief that a strong corporate culture goes hand in hand with success. However, a recent study has cast some doubt on this principle. After all, the authors of the report argue for culture. A company's build-up may be strong, but wrong. There is little point in every employee marching to the same tune if they are all marching in the wrong direction. Also, malaria is something that is a very complex disease with this complex life cycle. That means that if you're going to eliminate it, you have to be able to target cute parasites in humans. You have to be able to target parasites in the mosquitoes, that mosquito population. And so that requires a lot of resources. It requires a health system across all these different levels. And so I think the political capital that you need for that, the educational infrastructure you need for that, the economic resources you need for that are quite a challenge. There are some common reasons to explain why early civilizations developed in different places and different times around the world. Each ancient civilization that has been discovered developed in places where there was a reliable water supply, usually on the banks of major rivers, and where the soil was fertile enough to grow crops. Asteroid collisions can be a just task the dinosaurs but they also bring key ingredients for life. Super-Earths can draw them to nearby worlds. Super-Earths planets that are up to 10 times more massive than Earth might play billiards with planetary systems. New simulations suggest that if a super-Earth existed in our own solar system, far more asteroids would collide with us. But that isn't necessarily a bad thing. If the timing is right, understanding the effect of these massive planets on others nearby could help direct the search for life on exoplanets. 37. Historians can represent events that have happened in past centuries on a timeline, showing the 4 major periods of human history. A timeline is a good way to help us get history into perspective. It shows events from the past in a clear chronological order, that is, from the earliest to the latest event. 27. Archaeologists look for clues that indicate that an area is worth digging up. Clues may come from the writings of someone in the past who has described the existence of a particular town or burial site. Sometimes sites are accidentally discovered during excavation for the construction of buildings, roads, dams or railways. Mobile applications are using third-party data collection and advertising tools in order to monetize those applications. It happens across all types of apps, including ones that users may find fairly sensitive, like health and fitness. Ebola virus, the bacteria that causes plague, a pandemic strain of flu A. If any of these pathogens could be turned into bioweapons by terrorists or rogue nation-states, they would threaten humanity. Most life scientists have little awareness of biosecurity issues, according to a National Academies report released today. And it says there are multiple shortcomings in the systems designed to stop potentially risky research from being published. A new process for 3D printing things could pave the way for lighter, faster aircraft that potentially fly further on the same amount of fuel. Today's airplanes are held together with thousands of metal rivets and fasteners. That's because the lighter weight but strong aluminum alloys used for their frames are considered unwieldable. Try to weld them, called hot cracking, in which the finished alloy weakens and fractures as it cools. This and other adverse welding effects also stand in the way of 3D printing high-strength aluminum alloy parts. When researchers have tried, the resulting laser-fused mass flakes away at the welding area like a stale biscuit. 30 popular ride-sharing firm Uber has had its license to operate in London revoked in a surprise move by the city's regulator. There were multiple reasons for the decision. TfL cited the company's approach to reporting criminal offences. In August, a senior officer within London's Metropolitan Police Service wrote to TfL about Uber's slowness to report a passenger's accusation that her driver had sexually assaulted her. TfL said it was also concerned about how Uber obtained medical certificates and criminal records checks for drivers. The straw that broke the camel's back may have been the company's Greyball software AI. All earthquakes look the same when they start, making it unlikely we will be able to predict which will cause the most devastation from early observations. Early warning systems rely on seismometers picking up tremors and sounding the alarm for nearby cities before major shaking starts. Even a few seconds warning can make a lot of difference, both for individual people and for organizations like hospitals. For example, Mexico's early warning system gave everyone a 10 to 15 second heads up before Tuesday's magnitude 7.1 earthquake. 33Another arm of the United States government was the FSA, the Farm Security Administration, and they had a peculiar task, because in addition to the depression, which had obviously hit farmers quite hard because suddenly the material that they were producing wasn't really as value, yet their costs for producing it were exactly the same, they were hit not only that but also by I'm going to argue that the tremendous increases in productivity that we associate with the Industrial Revolution originate not so much from changes in science or technology or new inventions, where England was far from unique, as from changes in attitudes towards morality, towards what constituted the good, attitudes towards property, which became in England individuals long before it did on the continent, attitudes toward the proper role of government, and together, these attitudes constitute much of what the Luddites We are trying to understand the locomotion of one of our closest living relatives, which is the orangutan, and also the locomotion of all of the apes and the common ancestor of humans and the other apes. And in that area, we have had a big problem traditionally, and that we know a lot about how they move around the forest. I've been out to the forest and recording the different types of locomotion they use, but we have no idea about the energetic We can gain an accurate knowledge of the past only if we know the age of the different sources being investigated. Without this information, historians and archaeologists could not be sure of the order in which different areas were settled, used and abandoned. They would not always be sure if a particular object was real or forged. If you have paraskevidicatreophobia, today is not your day. That's right, paraskevidicatreophobia is fear of Friday the 13th and the accidents, mishaps and misfortunes thought by some to occur on that day. But is there anything really to fear? In fact, a study was conducted and published back in 1993 in the British Medical Journal that looked at hospital admissions due to accidents on one Friday the 13th compared with the previous Friday. It's tough to pick a familiar face out of a crowd, but focusing on an own voice in a noisy room is easy. And a new study scanned volunteers' brains to look at how we solve the so-called cocktail party problem. The work is in the journal Nature. Researchers recorded the activity of the subjects' cerebral cortexes while playing them sentences. Subjects listened to individual sentences and reported key features of each one. Then, they tens of millions of sharks are killed for their fins each year. It's not just a tragic abuse of the animals, it's bad business. They're basically swimming dollar signs, whether you're trying to kill them for their meat or their fins or you're interested in looking at them for ecotourism. That's Austin Gallagher, a doctoral student at the University of Miami. We did some calculations and the results were remarkable. We determined that the average shark was worth about $200,000 over the course obese people have higher risks for diabetes, heart disease, arthritis and injuries in car accidents. Yes, in part because they're far less likely to wear a seatbelt. That's the finding of a study out of the University of Buffalo that will be presented at an upcoming meeting of the Society for Academic Emergency Medicine in Chicago. The Reanalysis Reporting System of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The study included 1/3 of a million drivers involved in fatal crashes. 2 years ago, the research group found that morbidly obese people were 56% more likely to die in a car crash than normal weight car occupants. The new study revealed that